G'day everyone. Okay, so I'm going to do another live again. But I had already pre-arranged this one with Anthea Spark in Melbourne for today, so I'm going to go ahead and get that one done. I hope you're all well out there, you beautiful, beloved hearts. I come to you with great love and compassion and peace and empathy today, as me and Anthea have a in-depth discussion about the polarity between the men and the women at the moment, which she wrote about a month or so ago, and I picked up on. I felt that was relevant to what is unfolding at the moment with the current energetic shifts, which everybody seems to be challenged with, and even myself in the last day with headaches and bloating and a few other minor ascension symptoms. So, yes. All right, so here we go. We've got Anthea coming on, guys. All right, so let's get this rocking, folks. Powerful. Oh. Hello.
Hi.
Wow.
How are you?
I got a headache. I'm not too bad. I got a bit of a headache and stuff, Anthea, but I'm doing okay. I just gave up smoking 2 days ago.
Oh, well done. That's great.
Yeah.
So it's hard giving up smoking, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's quite an addictive drug, and my physicality was saying, "Yep, time to give it up," and my higher self was saying, "Yeah, it's time. You want to get through, you want to surrender and set the course, then you got to show the way by doing it yourself." I said, "Okay, cool, all right."
Yeah. Well, I guess your physical body's going to go through a bit of a purging, hey?
Oh yeah, it already is. I've got a float tank experience tomorrow, and I've had a hot bath last night, and I'm just breathing in and out, and
awesome.
I'm not eating any more than what I did before, so that's not too bad, Anthea. I'm doing pretty well since actually.
That's good. I'm just looking away so I can see if I can share this on my Facebook page as well.
Yeah.
Unless it's already on there. Let me just have a look.
If not, I can share it on your page anyway. I'll share it when we get off.
Yeah, okay. All right, sounds good.
All right.
Awesome. So thank you for inviting me to chat today.
I've been trying to get you on for ages, but something has always managed to blow it up out of the water between us with getting on and doing a live, right? And I wanted to specifically tackle the subject that you touched on about a month or so ago now, I think it was, with the men also cop the abuse from the women. If you remember that one, you remember that one?
Yes, I remember, of course, yes.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that with people today, whoever watches this, Anthea, because I feel it's really irrelevant, because there's a lot of what I'm finding at the moment in the energy is the pendulum has swung way that way with people, and it's slowly coming back to center again. But it was that way for a while, then it swung that way, and people are trying to find their balance. Okay, and for me, I'm on my own, so I do my own thing. It doesn't follow me either way. But the thing is, and this isn't a judgment against the women, but I want them to understand that the blaming with the men has got to stop. They've also got to take accountability and responsibility for themselves of how they treat the men too. The blog that you wrote, it really hit me to my core. It's like, whoa, that is something powerful that I really got to get Anthea on to think about. So what I'm going to get you to just go into that of how you came to that and how you saw that, because I know I've had those experiences with women myself personally, where I've popped the blame and the abuse and it's all your fault, and you know what I mean. So I know what it's like, which is what I wanted you to share with that. So I'm going to get you to launch into that now, Anthea, from how you come to that. Please.
Okay, so that post, when I wrote that post, that post came from my own personal experiences, experiencing narcissism in relationships. Okay.
Yep.
And so I never have directly had anyone come, any man that I've been in a relationship where there's been narcissism, have them come to me and apologize and own it. Okay? It has come from my work with other men, right? So I'll give you an example. So after I left my marriage, okay, I had an experience with a man who he was overcoming the same struggles that my ex-husband was overcoming. Okay. And because there wasn't that emotional entanglement there, and I was overcoming the stuff that his ex-wife was overcoming. And because there wasn't any emotional entanglement there, we could sit opposite each other and in such a vulnerable and open way, listen to what the other was saying and see things from our ex's perspectives. Okay. Because we too were present in those marriages. We too contributed to the breakdown of those marriages. It wasn't just the other person. Okay. And it was a really healing moment because I got to sit opposite a man who was essentially saying sorry to me. Right. Even though it didn't come directly from my ex, it came from this man. And I was sitting opposite him and I was saying sorry to him. Okay. And the whole point of me writing that post was that I was trying to, and so was this man, trying to move away from anything that led us to carrying more anger and more hatred and more expectation and resentment towards anybody. Okay, because if we sit here, like I know you're saying you want people to own their behavior, but if we sit here waiting for people to own their behavior, right, and we stew in this hatred and this resentment and this bitterness towards men and towards women, then we're being pulled away from what we really should be doing. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Agree.
And it's like, so my parents are from Cyprus. And I don't know exactly when the war was, but the Turkish people like they believed part of Cyprus belonged to them, so they reclaimed some of the land, and it created this great division between Turks and Cypriots. Okay. And so if I am to meet a Turkish person and I look down on them or I shun them or I disrespect them, right, because of what happened to my land, then how am I transforming the shit from the past? You know, how am I being evolved and more conscious in this moment? I'm not.
No, you're not. No. You're creating more separation on the ground as such, right? Even though there is no separation in the higher realms, we know that. But in the ground here, we're creating more separation by doing that, right? And so, and it's really, it's wonderful because then what we're doing, Anthea, when you say that we can't wait for people to apologize, change their behavior, we have to accept them for where they are and also be aware not to accept that behavior in their life, though that's not in integrity of who we are, right?
Of course.
Respect, right?
Absolutely. So back to this moment in time that I shared with this man, right? We're on the journey. We're healing ourselves. We're trying to evolve. We're trying to be more conscious, and we're trying to become better people. And I always say to anyone, to my clients and to anyone, if you're doing the work and other people aren't, I feel it's your responsibility to the collective to lead by example.
Exactly.
Okay? Not to excuse them for their behavior. But in my experience, at least, when I try to see someone through the eyes of love, someone who's triggered me and hurt me and whatever they've done to me, if I can forgive that, and sometimes people will still trigger us because we're only human, right? But if we can understand that trigger's about us and what's going on for us, and we can continue to try and see them through the eyes of love, it softens us, which means it softens them. And I've never met anyone who's been met with sweetness and kindness become arrogant and aggressive. Yeah. So anyone from our past, including my ex, when I meet him with softness and sweetness, that's exactly how he responds. When I meet him with aggression or frustration, he meets me with aggression. And do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, wow, I'm that powerful that, and I'm on the journey. I'm maybe more conscious in this area of my life than him. So it's my responsibility. If we're ever going to break down these massive walls between men and women, right? I feel like we really have to understand that it's equal. And I think that whole thing, the Johnny Depp case and all that kind of stuff that we saw a lot more men kind of raise their swords and go, you know, yeah, me too kind of thing, right? But at the end of the day, we're all experiencing the same shit. We all are hurting each other. Men are hurting women, women are hurting men, right? And
this is where the blame has to stop, Anthea.
Yeah.
Right. This is where this was the point. One of the points. Like, this is one of the reasons I got you on. I haven't had you on for, I can't remember when it was, but
it's been a while.
Because, and I've spoken about this even with Samantha over in Canada just yesterday. I did a live with her the other day about this. I said, the masculine energy, the divine masculine, whether it be the woman or the man, are struggling with letting go of that polarity, that patriarchal energy, right?
Yeah.
And this is where we've got to, the men, the physical parts of us, right? The women, they're going, the men, and say, you're a bunch of whoop, I'm not going to swear, but, they're a bunch of freaking a-holes and whatever, and it's all your bloody fault, and la, 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 and, we're going to take you down. Well, honestly, and then the men are going back at the women and saying, well, you've done this to me too. So what we need to do is, like you just said, Anthea, and I agree with that completely. We both hurt each other, women and men, right? We need to understand that this isn't a battle between us, because then the more we battle each other and ourselves within, the more that the darkness is winning.
Yes.
This is why, self-love is so important. This is why I'm in such a beautiful, centered state. Even while I'm purging out the bloody toxins from smoking, and all the emotions of it are coming out as well, I'm choosing not to reject it anybody. I'm choosing just sit with that and release it, right? And I want people to understand that, because it's not an easy process. And, this whole, we can't make people accountable for what they've done to others, right, Anthea? That's just the bare bottom line, okay?
Yeah.
We can't, right? But we can only be accountable and responsible for ourselves, okay? And this is the key.
Yes.
Right? Because at the end of the day, we can only bring forth the information to people and say, hey, you're accountable for your actions of how you hurt people and the way you go about it, right? So, what's your process? What have you got a process for every? I mean, I know my process, right, Anthea, but have you got a different process for anybody out there who is triggered by this, or may want to look at this or do something with it from your perspective for the collective?
As in heal their own perspective towards the opposite sex?
Yeah, because it's all inner child stuff and previous life. Yeah.
This has been my own personal process. This is what I teach my clients, okay?
Yeah.
Because I haven't met anyone yet who doesn't want to have a healthy relationship with a divine counterpart and be entangled in the beauty of love. I've never met anyone who doesn't want that, okay? And a lot of us from our generation is either experienced a massive separation, a divorce, separating from a partner that they've had kids with, that kind of thing, right? Yep. And so they want that, they desire that. If we're a part of like a broken family, there is a desire to have a healthy family. So in order for us to move towards having a really beautiful union with someone, we have to heal the way we see our previous partner.
Yeah, exactly.
if we're seeing our previous partner as in a really negative, resentful, arrogant, blaming way, it's going to be very difficult for us to move forward into a really healthy relationship.
Yes.
Okay. That pain that creates that defensive armor will push away anybody healthy for you.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's the thing, Anthea. This is what people miss the point of too, right?
Yeah. And you know what? It's really hard it's easier to be angry at someone than it is to sit in the pain or the hurt of the separation. And so we sit in the shallows of the drama of it, right? And we call people names and we deflect and we blame and we point fingers, and we don't go deeper into, like, what is the deeper wound here?
Yeah, exactly.
And if we go deeper into, wow, what is this really reflecting back to me? We're going to go back to the inner child, and it's going to go, if we go all the way, if we go as deep as we can, it's going to go back to the inner child, and it's going to be abandonment, rejection, abuse, something like that. Okay? Pain, grief, something like that. And it's, this whole experience has been a lesson to heal, or an opening, a portal to heal this wounded part of ourselves. You know, and so that's why I always say, anyone who triggers you is your teacher.
Yes.
You know, they're here to teach, even that, because you know what, these people, we were once in love with them.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
Absolutely we were.
We were once in love with them. And now we want to, like, get our sword and go to war with them.
Yeah. Want to cut them down, right? Yeah.
Yeah, cut them down. Yeah, blame them, push them, you know, like, it's crazy when you think about it.
Absolutely it is. Hey, Angela. So now I was going to do a live about this with somebody else a few weeks ago, right, Anthea, and that never happened. I don't know what the story is with that. I won't go into it. That's beside the point. So this is going to be a perfect time. You're going to love this, because I'm really going to go. I really want you to go into this, okay? Because I know this truth myself personally, okay? And I've written about this, right? Relationships are laboratories of the heart, right? Or for the heart, okay? So I know it sounds really fucked up, all right, in some people's perspectives, how they view it. But I know, and you know, that we marry our parents, right, when we get into a relationship.
Yep.
So I know that when we do that, it's for our learning, because you know, I don't mean to trigger anyone out there, guys, but seriously, this is the truth, right? This is the bit, but you're not literally marrying your parents, but you are marrying your parents through the relationship that you enter into from your traumas and wounds of your childhood. They are reflecting back from that relationship you're in now of your parents, right? Okay. I know it's a bit of it's a mind fuck, right, guys? Excuse my language, Anthea, but
that's
it's
all right.
it's a mind fuck, right? Seriously. So, and I wanted to do this video with somebody else, but it didn't happen. So, go into that from your perspective, Anthea, because this is I told you it was going to get juicy today. So, okay.
Okay. So, like, it's exactly what you said, right? So we have to enter into that relationship to get to trigger those wounds to kind of open up.
Yes.
Right? Because it's all unconscious. Yep. We're picking partners from our unconscious selves that are going to trigger the childhood wounds. Right? Now, even after we've begun the healing journey, you know, there's many layers to our wounds. Even after we've begun that healing journey, even after you and I, all the work we've done, when we choose to enter into our next union, there's going to be all sorts of stuff coming up to be cleared and healed as well, right?
Absolutely.
Because when you enter into that union, that other person is usually a really powerful mirror that is going to help you bring up all your shit so you can clear it and heal it, right? So you can become even more, become even more a representation of unconditional love with that person, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, if we can begin to see things from a higher perspective, rather than swimming in the shallows of the dramas of everything that unfolds. He said this and I did that and she did this and we see it from a high perspective. What we'll see is when I trigger you and you trigger me and we argue as a couple, it's two inner children arguing.
Yes.
Yeah? I want you to tell me I'm important and you want me to respect you and, you know, but nobody ever teaches us this stuff. And
yeah, exactly.
No one ever teaches us this stuff, and it's really hard for us as the adults with the wounds and the traumas and all of the evidence of the past that we now carry, that men can't be trusted and women can't be trusted, to actually meet eye to eye and go, oh, you've got pain. I see your pain and I honour it. And you do the same with me. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if we were taught this at school.
Yep. That's why I've been on my own for 3 years.
Yes. So, yes, I understand. You know, and so when we have kids as well, it does ignite a spiritual awakening in most of us.
Yes, it does.
That's why we see a lot of separations after children. Because one person will usually go on the journey and evolve, and the other person may not accept the invitation to grow.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but rather...
That's part of it. This is why we need to, we've got to learn to let go of that attachment to Anthea and learn from that experience of that relationship so we can grow further into ourselves by spending that time on our own. Then we're in a much better position to be able to take on a new relationship and keep learning through whatever that shows us, but not trying to not carry the baggage from the last relationship into the next one. Yes. This is why it's so important to be on our own and do that inner work and cycling through the wreckage of that previous one. Well, not wreckage, but the learning, okay, is lack of a better word. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, absolutely. Yep. And, you know, when you start to look at things from a higher perspective and you're like, at times I've been like, oh my God, how did we get here? Yeah. How did we get here? Right?
You're not kidding.
But when you see it from a high perspective, you're like, oh, I was really operating from my pain, and he was really operating from his pain.
Yes.
As well. And so what happens when we operate from our pain and our wounded ego, and you're in your inner child, say you're in your 5-year-old wound and I'm in my 4-year-old wound, chaos.
Yeah, exactly. We're just going to be attacking each other, right?
He started it. I see my kids. She started it. He started it. He did this, she did that. And I'm like, but when we approach things with love and compassion, right? Because you can't say you love unconditionally unless you love everyone unconditionally.
Exactly.
Okay? You can't love some people unconditionally. It doesn't work like that. So if you want to love unconditionally, you want to invite an empowered, conscious partner to come and step into union with you, then you want to make sure that all of your shadow shit has been cleaned up. That means looking to the people in the past that have hurt you and seeing them through the eyes of love too.
Exactly. See them as an exercise to love yourself and them as well, right?
Because what happens is when you see your ex-partners through the eyes of love, it reflects back to you how you contributed to the breakdown of that relationship, and that can be really confronting to look in the mirror, right? But it is the most empowering process I've experienced because it actually teaches you, it makes you very humble.
It does, actually.
And that's how you want to be. That's how you want to be moving forward.
Yeah.
You know?
It is. Yeah. Because we're just, and look, we're all doing the best we can. And even if we can't love completely, unconditionally this lifetime, we can at least invite that union partner into our lives that is willing to grow with us like we are within ourselves.
Yes.
That the key as well from that perspective, because then it doesn't matter what comes up. If both of you are committed to sit down and talk about and communicate and say, hey, you know what, I'm feeling this way right now. You've triggered me. I don't know why, but I need, or vice versa.
Yeah.
If those people can sit down and communicate about that and say, well, this is what's coming up for me, and take that time for yourself and reflect back on your childhood even. It's like, oh my God, fuck, that's what it was. Oh, that's what happened, right? When I was a kid. And then you can unravel that thought process, because our thoughts, we know that we're not our thoughts, okay?
Yeah.
But it's very hard for a lot of people out there to grasp that concept, even more so for themselves, who are consciously unaware or not as, understanding of that concept, like a lot of us are, Anthea, right? Like me. I spent 7 years doing this, and I still pick up my ego at times and say, "Oi, get back in your bloody box. You've had your 5 minutes of air time, right enough."
Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so that's the big thing. Do you believe we can reach? I'm not feeling we can obtain unconditional love this lifetime. What's your perspective on that, Anthea? I'm just curious.
It's such a big topic, isn't it?
Question. Yeah, it is, isn't it? I just sort of threw it out there. I thought, let's just see where Anthea goes, because I'm not sure we can. We can come close, right?
I'm not sure how to answer that question, to be honest. I think, can we ever really accomplish all of us being, light bodies or light beings, or all of us being conscious, or all of us, like, I feel like we always need to have that polarity.
Yeah,
so
we
that
do.
We can always strive to be more unconditional. So I think already maybe we have achieved 50% of us moving towards being more loving and supporting. What if we've already achieved it, right? And in order for us to really appreciate that, we need to see the opposite of it too.
Yeah, exactly. We do.
And I
was going to say, I feel that it was mentioned the other day, actually, Anthea, by Laurie Ladd. And sorry, hey Jeremy, I see you there, brother. All right, I see you. And what she was saying in one of her videos on YouTube was, the spiritual community specifically have gotten so caught up in the 5D, they're virtually bypassing the human experience. Now, I would agree with that myself personally. I'm sure you would, possibly not. I would think you would agree with that, right, Anthea?
Yeah.
So this is what I feel a lot of people in the spiritual arena have got to understand. They've got to pull themselves back into the grounding effect of being human here, and stop trying to bypass everything and sit in the, oh, look at me, I'm in 5D, I'm in light now. Yay, let's have a party, everyone,
Yeah. Well, it's less, we all.
Sorry, guys, no offense, but.
Yeah. What would be why do you think people do that, though? Like, why do you think they don't want to have this human experience? They want to be in the 5D.
Because they're over it. It's too much for them, I feel. And it's like, man, I've done this. Well, it drives you crazy. And it's like, for me personally, I'd love to come back. I love this world and the intricate layers it offers. It's like, wow, such a learning. It's like, cool.
Yes.
And I get frustrated at times, like most people out there do. I get, a little bit frustrated.
Of course.
Oh man, But what I see in front of me as I create my reality is more beauty and more beauty every single day, and more loving hearts, right?
So it's beautiful. The human experience, where it can be painful, it can be very painful. It can also be just as beautiful, and it's hard. It's very hard to be able to feel our way through all of it.
Yeah, exactly. And as Jeremy just said, it's ego.
Well, as kids, and I see it in my own children, when something sad happens, they don't want to feel that. They want to suppress it. and they want to feel it. They don't want to feel it. They want to go back to being happy and being all lighthearted, right? And I'm like, wow, this is kind of what we do as children, because we don't have the emotional capacity to process those heavy emotions. Okay,
It's
and I
not
saw it in my kids. Hey,
it's not just that either, Anthea. It's like the whole key to that too is the parents being emotionally available for the kids and sitting them down and helping the kids understand that as well, and say, you know, it's okay for you to grieve, it's okay for you to cry, it's okay for you to feel sad,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. But even that can be, it can be disempowering for the child, because some parents do that and they force their kids to feel something they're not ready to feel, right?
Yeah,
rather
exactly.
than going, hey, what do you want to do? You want to talk about it? And because I've done that with my kids, and they're like, do you want to talk about it? No. I go, you sure? Yeah. I go, all right, well, if you do, I'm here. You don't have to tell me anything, but if you do, I'm here. Okay?
I love that. That is perfect.
So we're going to be in the middle, right? We're going to be in the middle, because my kid's cat died, and they didn't want to see, they sad and they cried and all that, but they didn't want to stay in it. She's like, let's look up other cats. And I'm like, all right, let's look up other cats. And then she's laughing at all the kittens that she's looking at. And she was disassociating, yes. But that was her choice to do that. Okay? Now, as the adult, when she becomes the adult, at some point she's going to have to grieve, release that grief that maybe she didn't. Or maybe she did release it and she was done.
Exactly.
Yeah? But as us adults, where we were taught, most of us were taught to suppress our emotions, not to cry, not to feel, toughen up, don't do that, don't say that. As the adults, we want to escape and go to the 5D, because God damn, it's so much nicer up there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So much nicer up there, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we've got to try and find a way to be in the middle and enjoy both. You know?
I like the way you put that, Anthony, and I want to say to you that's a beautiful analogy, because truly you've got to meet them in the middle. Thank you, Jeremy, as for all of that too. It's true. You got to meet them in the middle. You can't force them. You can at least say to them, say, hey, listen, it's okay for you to feel whatever you want to feel, but when you're ready, come to me and we'll talk about it, right? But just know that I'm here for you when you're ready. Because I wasn't never, and a lot of kids out there these days were never given that opportunity. They were shut down, like you said, and they say, sit down, shut up, we don't want to hear it, we don't care, you're a kid, go away, leave us alone, right?
Yeah.
And this is what a lot of people are unraveling with their childhood programs of that too. I know, I've seen that myself personally. And this is such a lovely discussion, an amazing discussion we're having today, Anthony. I'm so grateful, because I honour you so greatly, because you have so much wealth of information, what you've learned through as much as what I do, and I'm grateful. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. And I'm grateful for you too. And I think when we connect and we just open up conversation in this way, it's quite beautiful, you know, because we're both open to being convinced of a new idea, or you know, I'm open to you and you're open to me. So I think it's a really beautiful way to connect.
Absolutely. Because I'm open to learn from you as much as everybody's open to learn from me, or both. It goes both ways, Anthony, is what I'm saying, right? Which is really cool. Because I'm learning from you, and it's really awesome.
Yeah, and I'm learning from you too.
Yeah. But that's the thing, guys, okay? You've got to remember that, you know, and a lot of people out there are struggling with all of that too right now as well. Anthea, like moving through those programs and those patterns of unworthiness and insecurities, the blaming, the abandonment issue is a huge one right now for people as well. Like, which is why they're struggling with leaving relationships that are no longer serving them as well. Okay, they're staying in there and making themselves miserable.
I did a live on abandonment. It's on my YouTube channel. It's called, my YouTube channel is called Anthea Spark, and there's a live on there about abandonment wounds, because someone asked me to do a live on abandonment wounds, so I did that.
Can we go into that right now, Anthea, while you're on the live with us today, please? Can you go into that, please?
About the abandonment wounds?
Yeah, because I've worked through mine, but I mean, for others who may have that or may be feeling it, you know?
So are there any questions about abandonment? Because if anyone has a question, that always helps, because then I can go into whatever it is that they want me to go into, because there's so many different things to talk about around abandonment.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, absolutely. Childhood wounds staring me down the barrel. Okay. So, well, let me start then, Anthony. I'll start it off. Yeah. I mean, we've got viewers watching, so I'll start off. Okay. So.
Okay.
All right. So for a start, as children, where does abandonment start with children with their parents?
Okay. So this is so interesting, because before this, I had a session with my client and we're talking about abandonment, and most of us have been abandoned in some form. Okay.
Yes.
We've either been physically abandoned, whether we've had a parent leave us or both parents leave us, right?
Yeah.
Or we've been emotionally abandoned. So you could have been living with both of your parents, growing up with both of your parents, and felt abandoned by both of them. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And some people have both physical and emotional abandonment. So abandonment can be very subtle. So for example, let's say you as a child expressed your emotions to your mum or your dad and they ignored you, or they told you to stop crying. In that moment when you needed connection and support, you would have felt abandoned.
Yeah, absolutely. That's emotional abandonment.
Yeah. So then you would have created a set of coping mechanisms, and you would have begun building your defense mechanism. Okay? Because it was now no longer safe to and you probably tried it 30, 40, 50, 60, 100, 200 times, and you probably got the same result each time. So then the defense mechanism every time gets stronger and stronger. Okay? And now you have a really great, intelligent way of protecting yourself from connection, vulnerability, emotional intimacy, rejection, abandonment. Okay? And so you sculpt that and you nurture it, so you can use that and you as you grow up, you use that in your adult life. Now, there's going to be cracks in that defense mechanism. There'll be cracks in there, cracks where you've let people in, right, that have come in and they're like, oh my God, this person really loves me. They really want to spend time with me. This is amazing. And so you let them in the crack. Okay, you lower your defense mechanism, you start lowering it, and then something happens and you feel exposed and you feel taken advantage of and you feel used or whatever it is, and then they leave and you feel abandoned again. And so then you put your wall, you build it stronger this time. But you build it stronger, right? And now you start to gather evidence of abandonment.
You do.
Okay?
Jeremy's just saying, another thing I look at is the parent may feel, hang on, Jeremy, I'm getting there. The parent may feel they are more than they are, saying, I'm mum is like saying I'm ego. Many parents see themselves from ego mind and it's passed down. We become dependent, vulnerable mammals at birth, setting us up for codependent tendencies. I'd love to hear Sister's perspective on this. There you go.
Okay. Yes, I agree with you. Okay. I think that we've been conditioned, right, to believe our relationships need to be a certain way. For example, the man goes out and makes the money and the woman stays home to look after the kids. And
let's touch on that, please, Anthea. That is that's a powerful one.
Right?
No, seriously, I know that, right? The man to go out and work, right? Let's nail that one while we get into what Jeremy was asking, please. I'm sorry, Jeremy.
Let me just hang on. Let me just see if I can see Jeremy's
question.
Where is it? Let me have a look if I can see it. Yeah. So, okay. I just want to touch on what Jeremy said before we go into this.
Yes, please. Yes, this is good.
Yes. Growing up, even I noticed it with my own parents, with my own children. My mum would say things like, oh, she's too little, she doesn't understand, right? And that's from her upbringing. That's her beliefs from her upbringing, Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, in my heart and mind, I'm like, no, they are, because I've studied psychotherapy, I understand the human mind, right? Not fully, but I understand it somewhat. So
no one can understand it fully. Not
no,
even me.
but we are
I've done a lot.
consciously, yeah. So you know, with what Jeremy said is that yes, there is this hierarchy, okay,
Yes.
in most families, and our children are mirrors, and they reflect back to us our own unresolved childhood trauma and wounds from the age that they are at. Okay.
Yep.
Now,
Absolutely.
think about the 1960s, right? There's no way in hell a businessman is going to sit there and look at his 5-year-old son as his mirror, as a reflection of who he was when he was 5 and his dad used to beat him with a belt. Okay, he's not going to do that. He's going to use his authority to shut this kid up, to shut the mirror down. Okay?
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what's happening. The kid's triggering the father's trauma, and the father's going, shut it down, right? Because the level of consciousness back then wasn't as open as it is now, right? Collectively.
No, right. Yeah.
So yes, we have been raised with this idea that there's a hierarchy and the patriarch and all of that kind of stuff. And if we want to raise healthier adults, well, then we have to start treating our children that they are on the same level as us.
Absolutely.
Right? We have to teach them about responsibility and communication and how to navigate your way through your emotions. And sometimes I look at my kids and I'm like, oh my God, I have no idea how to navigate my way through this. Right? You're 8.
I feel the same with my youngest daughter at times, and sometimes I struggle even with that, with trying to help her navigate through her own stuff. I mean, most of it I'm okay, but sometimes it's like, I mean, I've got to try and remember what I've learned myself, and even then I haven't got all the answers for her.
Absolutely.
So I've got to give her space to do what she needs to do, and we try to work it together. So
yeah,
she's
absolutely.
Only 14, so I know what you mean.
We're learning too, right? We're learning and growing. I'm learning how to hold space for an 8-year-old who is expressing all of this stuff that she's feeling. Okay?
Exactly.
I work with adults who have inner child trauma. I don't work with 8-year-olds who have current, daily emotional things showing up. So I'm learning and growing too. And sometimes I let them lead because they're more evolved, they're more conscious souls, right, than what I am. And sometimes I listen to the wisdom that comes out of those little mouths, and I'm like, wow, I know nothing at all, And other times I put on my...
Kids are our greatest reflection, you know what I mean?
Of course.
They really are. And yeah.
And other times I share with them my own experiences so that they can learn from my experiences and how I navigated my way through the discomfort of this life, so that they can at least have some... But what I find is that when I'm connecting with them soul to soul, regardless of age or gender or age, whatever, they get it. They're like, oh, okay, they get it.
They do.
But if I'm yelling at them and I'm being this, coming from this place of hierarchy, they're just like, it's like water off a duck's back. It does not resonate with them at all.
It doesn't. Because they're beings of light. They're, like you said, they're more intelligent than what we are in regards to that. Certainly at this point of humanity's conscious evolution as it stands right now, Anthea, right?
Yes,
and
yes.
This is why I need to step back and take a different approach with our children. I made mistakes, huge mistakes with my 3 oldest.
Yes.
And it's only through the last 3 years that I'm rebuilding that bridge with them to some degree. And sometimes I still don't get it always right.
Yeah.
But what's come out of my oldest daughter's mouth is blown me away, right? But then I've had to pull her up and say, well, hang on a minute, but look at it from this perspective too, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes she misses that as well, and she can pick up on what I've learned at the same time. So, but Jessica, she's an old soul. She's very switched on, very empathic. So I learn a lot from her. And sometimes I got to pull myself up too.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like, talk about eating some humble pie, right? You're like, oh.
Oh, yeah. And that's not easy for an adult, for the kids, seriously.
No. So what I've been feeling is a massive dissolve in the old relationship paradigm, which is what we're going into, talking about the man going to work and the woman staying at home and looking after the kids, you know. I think that it's quite a beautiful thing if you can make that work and both people want to. I feel like it's such a beautiful, positive thing that we've learnt from that old relationship paradigm, that if both people want that, it can be a really beautiful, beautiful experience.
Absolutely.
You know, but what I'm seeing is we're moving into a completely different way of relating and coming into union with other, where it is two empowered individuals living their own lives and actually sharing moments in time together, rather than enmeshing their whole life together and it becoming so, right? It's more separated, but it's actually more together.
Yeah, exactly right. This is the thing, they enmesh themselves so greatly that they lose themselves.
Yes.
Right? Yes. This is, and like you said, and that's what I've said before, you would agree, a lot of relationships are ending with friendships and lover relationships as well. They're ending because they're just not meeting at that vibrational level anymore, Anthea, right? The whole construct of relationships is changing so greatly. And I've actually looked at this. I've looked at this a couple of weeks ago and thought, I'm not even in a relationship. I'm thinking, oh my God, how am I going to do this when somebody does come to me? What the hell is not the same as I used to?
And that's what I mean. That's what I mean. When we decide you can't go into union with someone, you and I, we're going to have to learn how to embody this new relationship paradigm. And old stuff may surface that we're going to have to work through. Because unless you're in a relationship with someone else, you won't be able to kind of work through that stuff.
No.
If you don't have a mirror.
No, that's right. You don't have a mirror. And this is what I'm finding. Like, I mean, I'm moving through bits and pieces, and I know it'll happen. But at the moment, I've just given up smoking. And it's like, man, I'm probably not the most attractive person energetically at the moment while I'm working through whatever's coming up for me, but that's okay. But like you said, we've got to work through that, Anthony, because you and I and others are on their own. I've got to try and work with that new energy that we're moving into now with relationships, divine unions, right?
And it's like you've got to unlearn everything that you thought you knew and start learning again.
Exactly.
You know? And so does the other person.
Yep.
So does the other person. So it's going to be hard, but it's going to be bloody rewarding, you know? It's going to be amazing. And I think that's why it's so important to heal our perspectives around men and women, because if I'm hating men because of my experiences from my past, well, how the hell am I going to step into this new paradigm and love men if I'm still hating on them over here? Like
that's exactly right. Yes.
Doesn't work.
No. And there are a lot of women out there, and I'm not subtracting from the men, but there are a lot of women that do hate men out there at the moment still, because of what has happened to them from past lives or this life especially.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
And they're hating, but yet they're in a relationship with a guy, but at the same time they're hating the partner too as much as they're hating the rest of the men out there. Right? Yeah. So now
and it's interesting because I
was just going to say, Anthea, I want to cross something with you with this, right?
Yeah.
Because while they're hating the men, indirectly they're trying to play Florence Nightingale and save the man.
Oh. Isn't that interesting?
Take that for a twist.
Okay.
I bet you've never heard that one before.
So what would be the purpose? What would be, isn't that interesting? So if there is, whether it's men or women, right? If they're trying to save the opposite sex.
It goes both ways, right? So,
Yeah? Well, let's say the women are trying to save the men, What would be the purpose of that? How would that serve them?
It would be like they're saving their father or their mother because of what happened to them as a child. But
when
yet
really
they're still hating from the ego perspective of what happened, the hurt, trauma, but indirectly they're trying to save them on the grounded level as well at the same time, while still being scarred from their experiences, which leads into controlling behavior and manipulative behavior as well, especially if they were controlled and manipulated as children by their parents, whether it be mother or father. Okay, so I wanted to throw that in at you, Anthea, to see your perspective of that, right? Because it's a tricky one, isn't it? Right?
Yes. So sometimes when we, if you need me, you're not going to abandon me, are you?
No.
No. So maybe if I save you, then you won't abandon me too.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, when we want to save someone, when we see someone and we're like, wow, he's in so much pain, I want to save him. When I see him and he's in so much pain, he's reflecting back to me my own pain.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
And then I need to go save myself and heal my own pain. And thank him for being a mirror of that. He triggered that within me. Thank you. In me healing myself, it's going to help him heal too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm helping the collective. When I heal myself, it helps everyone. So then the mirror will show up differently. Okay. So when I see that, feel that need to save someone, it's a deep calling from my higher self to go in and save some younger part of me that needs saving.
Exactly. Okay? Because
it's never about the other person.
Yeah, that's right. It's not. It's about you saving you.
Yeah, and the biggest way to emasculate a man is to try and save him. Okay.
Exactly. That is the biggest way to emasculate a man, is by trying to save him. Yeah. Rather than giving him the power to save himself. Right? And this is why and for any man out there, I inspire you, all the men out there too, okay, guys, or any divine masculine, women or men, I inspire you to empower yourself to save yourself, because you are your own best friend. And I've been doing this for 3 years. Anthea's been doing it probably longer than me, I don't know, right? But the fact is, with both us and a few others out there, we've done this, so we know. We know by not, I mean, yeah, you can ask for support, absolutely, but by inspiring yourself to be your own best friend and know that you can do this too, you can have somebody walk with you hand in hand while you continue to keep doing that, right, without them taking your power away and trying to save you, right?
It's really uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. When you see someone and it ignites that desire to save them or help them or whatever, it's really uncomfortable to go, no, hang on a minute, this is about me. You got to own that. Exactly. You got to be like, no, it's about me. So what we do is we deflect and we try to help the other person.
Totally. Absolutely, we do. Sorry, Jeremy's loving this, Anthea. I must say, our brother in America, he's just loving this conversation. We've hit all the right buttons today. It's awesome. An egg cracked from the outside means death. An egg cracked from the inside means life. Thus, just supporting and nurturing is so important. Good. She dropped out, guys. All right, hang on. See if we can get her back. What happened to you, Anthea? Hang on, guys. We'll see if we get Anthea back. All right. Yeah, she's gone. Okay, guys. So I don't know if we're going to be able to get her back if she's back. Are you still there, Anthea? Let us know if you're still back. Yeah, I know, Jeremy. And I've only ever had Anthea on once or twice before in the last couple of years, and we don't get together very often. It's usually like when the stars align that we get together, Anthea and I. But she's very knowledgeable. Oh, okay, hang on, guys, we've got her back on. All right, hang on. We'll add Anthea. We'll get her back on again.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So
everybody's hanging on your every word right now, Anthea. They're all hanging on our. Yeah.
So where were we up to?
We were talking about the I can't remember now.
Oh, that's all right. Maybe that's all we were meant to say about that.
Yeah, I think so. You're so welcome, Jeremy. You just said thank you, sister, and bless your heart for all that you do. Yep.
Pleasure.
You're a treasure, Jeremy. Honestly, we love you so much. The egg. He was talking about the egg. That's right. He was talking about cracking the egg from the inside out, right?
Yes.
Not from the outside in. Okay. All right. Now we know we're going.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, because when we do that, if I can trust myself, if I can love and accept all of who I am, if I can heal the pain of the past and become solid and unshakable, then I can start to lower my defense mechanism, can't I?
Absolutely,
right?
you can.
And not have this fear that I'm going to be abandoned and I'm going to be hurt and I'm going to be this, because that may still happen, but I know that I'm going to be okay if it does.
Absolutely.
Right?
And you'll be stronger for it.
And I'm going to open my heart to love anyway, right? Because no one can guarantee what's coming, but if we keep showing up as our best selves, our most empowered selves, what happens is, even if there are red flags that appear, we'll see them sooner and we'll be like, actually, I'm not going that way anymore. I'm going to go over here. I don't want that for myself. And we start making better choices for ourselves when we're in the heart and not in the wounded ego.
Yeah, exactly. That's the key right there, Anthea. And I feel once people do that too, they become more authentic. Because the energy we are moving into is more authenticity, vulnerability, and transparency. And I know, and I've talked a little bit about this over the last couple of lives with people and on my own as well. Vulnerability is the key to us shifting into the high vibrations, right? It doesn't matter whether it takes a whole lifetime for us to get there, but when we start being vulnerable, that is our saving grace. Because when we are vulnerable, then our heart opens to love. It doesn't come from a place of a business transaction or hurt or pain or whatever the case, or lust or greed, right? It comes from pure heart of, I've been through this. I'm honest with you. I'm going to, and standing in integrity too, Anthea, right, as well. You've seen me on lives before. You know how vulnerable I am. Even in my blogs, I mean, I'm pretty sure I've lost quite a few over the time because I get too vulnerable and they get, no, I don't want to watch him anymore, right?
Yeah, well, it would trigger stuff within people, right? Especially people who struggle to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And someone just made a comment about vulnerability being, I just saw it flash up, vulnerability's got me into a lot of trouble.
That's Cosmo, yes.
Yes, so I think, Cosmo, with that, what's important is that if you've had abandonment wounds or rejection wounds or anything like that, it's really important that before you choose to be vulnerable with someone, that you use your logical mind to determine whether it's a safe option, right? Because we live in this world where some people are really conscious and evolved and understand how to hold space and understand that we're each other's mirrors. And other people don't understand that concept. And we mesh, right, with these people. And we think just because we can be vulnerable that it's going to be received, or that these people can understand us. And so it's almost like what I'm asking you to do is, moving forward, is you use a series of questions to ask yourself, is this a safe person for me? Even if things go pear-shaped between us, will I be okay that I shared this vulnerability with them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have to, when we connect with people, we don't have to just open up and share everything straight away. We need to, like Jeremy said, use our discernment to see whether these people are going to be able to hold that part of us. And often they can't. And we need to make that okay as well. Yeah?
See,
You may be able to, you may be able to hold all of who I am, my inner child, my wild woman, my queen, my little girl. But the other guy that I'm friends with, he might only be able to connect with my little girl. And I need to make that okay.
I would embrace all of you. Just saying, Anthea. I mean,
yeah, I know. As I would you, right? But not everyone's like that.
No, and
not everyone's like that.
No, and sometimes they struggle with being emotionally available. So the emotional availability comes from not being able to be emotionally available for yourself. Also, because you were shut down emotionally at the same time when you were a child by your parents or family members or friends, once again. So if you can't be emotionally available for someone else or for yourself, then how are you supposed to be emotionally available for someone else in that union? Because that's, once again, comes in place a lack of trust and a lack of vulnerability. And then you're virtually living a lie within yourself, actually.
Yes.
Right. And this is where it's important. Like, I don't have anybody to get vulnerable with except on social media, right? But
and that's okay. Right now, not yet anyway.
Pardon?
You don't have anyone in your physical reality yet. Right?
No, not yet, but it will happen. It will happen.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried yet.
Yeah, I think sometimes we meet really beautiful people and they, especially people we enter into a romantic union with, and they embody all of these qualities that we want, and they show up and they're open and romantic and loving and accepting, but they may not be able to meet us at the emotional depth that we want them to meet us at.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. And sometimes we may push for them to do that, and that may actually trigger a separation because it makes them feel inferior because they don't know how to meet us there. And this is where I'm saying it's important to tread carefully when it comes to stuff that's really close to your heart and your deep wounds. Because if you share your deep wounds with someone and they run, you're going to automatically think that's a reflection of you. I'm not good enough. They abandoned me. They found someone better. They this, they that.
Yeah, and then you place that on yourself, and you blame yourself then out of guilt and shame, thinking, oh, it's all my fault. Oh my God, right?
Yeah.
And when it's not, it's exact. Thank you for. I'm glad you shared that, Anthony, because that's true, and I've been through that myself personally. Right? I blame myself for the last few years, because I thought it was my fault of the last one I had, the last relationship. I thought it was me. Yeah. I mean, there were triggers for me to work through, obviously, absolutely. But then I blame myself. It's like, oh my God, I'm too loving.
I'm too much. I'm too much.
Right?
I'm too deep. I'm too this. Yeah. And it's, that takes us into like that teenager kind of wound, rather than going, oh, I wonder why they ran. Like, it can almost separate us even from looking at from a higher perspective and going, oh, okay, maybe they just couldn't hold me in that way, and I really wanted them to, and it just didn't work out for us. That's where the logic comes in.
Yeah. No, this is a really great. Oh my God, if I could do another live with you, I could go for another half hour if you had time. I mean, this is just insane what we're covering today. It's incredible.
I don't, because I have to go get my kids from school. But
that's okay.
We can schedule in another one.
Yeah, we can do another one another time, definitely, right? I'm up to that, and that was awesome. So I'll let you go and get your kids, Anthea, and we love you, and we love you all, guys. And thank you, Anthea. You're a blessing to my heart. I'm so grateful for this discussion today.
Thank you for having me. I really, I feel honored that you had me on your live today, and it was great having this conversation with you, and thank you to everyone for watching.
Thank you. And we'll catch up another time, Anthea, all right? So,
all right, sounds good.
Love you, sis. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys.
Okay.
We'll talk again soon. Bye.
Bye.